program tonight is on the citizen artist. Damien Wetzel is the head of the Aspen Institute's Arts and Society program. It's important because Damien has truly understood the necessity of defining the role of the citizen artist. An artist who connects not just to audiences and art, but to society in general, to politics, to everything around him. There is no better exemplar in our day and age of the citizen artist than Yo-Yo Ma. I know most of you have known him, worshipped him, listened to him. The Silk Road Ensemble just captures everything that a citizen artist should do. And I had the great pleasure of knowing him since college days and watching how he has defined the role of the citizen in our society. So without any further ado, let me introduce Damien Wetzel and Yo-Yo Ma.
The idea of citizen artistry is not new. I mean, as Walter said, you've been a citizen artist. In fact, you described it to us how even at the age of 19, you went, this isn't enough. Being just an artist, being a good artist, being perfect wasn't enough. There had to be more connections to be
I was too confused.
You didn't know what to do.
At age 19, I had no idea what I was doing.
Well, it grows out of one thing in him that I think we all know and certainly love and appreciate, which is that you're sort of a serial collaborator. You constantly want to collaborate. You want to make connections.
May I back at you? I think what I've learned from Damien ever since we met, and this was before you retired, you had gone to the Kennedy School, and you were interested in policy, and Damien was the first person I met who said, I'm tired of people in the artistic community going out for the handout. He said, we should reverse that. And I never thought about this. Why did you come up with something
It just
like
seemed
that?
to me that the arts, all too often I talk to a colleague who is in a leadership position in the arts, and instead of telling me about the art form, they tell me, gosh, that fundraising is this, and they all became focused very heavily on what they needed, not about what they were giving. And I thought, all along, I kind of thought, well, first of all, the arts have a lot to give. The connections that we've only talked just for the second about your musical connections, but really the connections to society, as Walter said. It's about what the arts are giving to economic development, or to certainly to education, or to diplomacy, or on and on and on, the way it weaves into the fabric. So to me, I thought, well, there's so much to give, and all we do is all about the public perception. And the arts are coming. Here they come again. Their handouts, they need more. And I thought that was wrong.
But because you said that, we started thinking together about how we could think of ways where artists, other people who are in our field, how we can all respond to need. And that was a breakthrough moment because we talk often about how society has many different engines, right? We have a political engine, we have an economic engine, and we think there's a cultural engine, and they should all work together. But sometimes one might falter. Like right now, our economic engine is not in the greatest of shape, and we're going through another cycle politically, and this is a good moment where we can say, can we get ourselves together and make a difference and make a contribution to society on an individual basis, but also...
That's right. And again, I wanted to stress that these efforts have been going on in very varying ways over many years. Fantastic programs bringing arts into education, or if you look around this city, you can see how artistic endeavor, whether through design or any number of ways, has enlivened our society. But what we're proposing, what we're hoping to do, is to expand and enhance and make it part of just the everyday DNA of the artist side, that you're not just an artist, you're a citizen artist. There's so much more to be done with your art. And on the other side, on the need side, that you look at the arts as a resource. And that can be controversial at times because that might sound like it's utility, it's just use. But you know what? We're here to help in some ways. And there's so many ways to be an artist that go beyond just performing well or painting. I heard the analogy last night. Bob Steele was saying it's very similar to the way we're talking to the way that technology used to be talked about. The tech used to sort of be on the side. And now it's in everything we do. It's simply a part of what we do. If you're not using technology, you're not doing it all the way. And I believe this is what the arts represent. And we should say, when he said we talked today, the reason we're here tonight, essentially, this is the culminating event of something quite extraordinary. It's the first Aspen Institute Arts Strategy Group. The Aspen Institute has a long history of strategy sessions on many topics of addressing policy issues, foreign policy, domestic policy, but never in the arts. And this was an opportunity where we brought together 32 leaders from around the country. We had cultural commissioners, we had arts center presenters, we had artists themselves, we had a whole range of voices that had a piece of this to sit and discuss how citizen artistry can be enhanced and enabled, and systems and coordination being made. So we wanted to have what I refer to as sort of the last kind of indoctrination session, and that's what this is, building on what we talked about.
And using the arts, we feel, and citizen artistry and citizen artists, and just simply using the arts as part of the toolkit for problem solving is a tremendous step forward. And what's gratifying to know is that it is taking root. And what the things we're trying to talk about in the strategy group is how to accelerate that process. I mean, we've been lucky to have Rocco Landesman as head of the National Endowment for the Arts for the last 3 years. Rocco, our own Rocco. And Rocco was part of the strategy group, and he talked very clearly about the expansion of the arts into other departments, where he's talking to the Secretary of Agriculture about how design can help the Secretary of Agriculture do his job, and how his deals with HUD, with Sean Donovan at HUD, about how the arts actually enliven urban development in a way that they want a partnership. It's not simply about the arts needing backing, or we really are worth it. It's so far beyond that now. It's going on that road, and we're just trying to
The
push
purpose
it
of
along.
learning is to make it memorable. The purpose of Damien dancing is to make it memorable. So otherwise, why learn anything? Why cram your head full of stuff and ace an exam if you forget everything? Now, I've done that so often,
Or why-
and I know it's not a good thing.
Or why perform, conversely, as an artist? I mean, you've often said, if it's not memorable, my performance, then what am I doing? What is
Yeah.
it, what is this? And you know what the key to that is? I think I told you this the other
What
day.
is
We
that?
were at an amazing kind of convening of different disciplines, and E.O. Wilson, the Lord of the Ants, was there. And he said, I'm going to give you a Chinese proverb, and I just think it's relevant. And it really came out of nowhere, but it just slammed everybody, which was simply that if you tell me, I'll forget. If you show me, I might remember, but if you involve me, I understand. And that's kind of the key. It's not about just telling, and it's not even about showing. It's actually about involving, and that's what the arts can do.
So what we decided to do with 6th grade is to actually have consecutive visits during the year with someone following what the school, which is like a separate country, every school is like, nation.
Within the schools.
Yeah, within the school.
Yeah.
And so that you can follow what's the emotional temperature of that school, what are they going through at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
So we create a through line, and at the end of the year, and this is where Damien came in with all of his ideas and resources and brought the entire class to create their own event. We helped, we brought in dance, and all the artists that they worked with created the event. Why? So that when they think back to 6th grade, they have that culminating moment, and the Velcro will attach to all the things that they learned. At least that was
Gentlemen, I
what we
want you
were
to
trying
meet Charlie Albright, young pianist. Thank you, Charlie. Charlie graduated Harvard last year. He's at Juilliard now, but he's also touring the country as a concert pianist. He's got a kind of a weird life that, if you happen to be his friend on Facebook, is sort of alarming at times. He's just everywhere at once. But he's also been involved in a lot of different citizen arts activities. In fact, Yo-Yo, I think I first met Charlie as part of Witness. Is that right?
Right. I think you were doing a program on the is it the 50th anniversary?
50th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, obviously a cause for a performance. And we decided to, with Homi Bhabha and Toni Morrison, but you masterminded.
I provided the music alongside many readings in many different languages by faculty members, and we performed with students. And this was, I think, your first, maybe your second citizen musician event, because the first one, didn't we meet? We were doing. I think Ted Kennedy was getting
that's right.
an honorary doctorate, and this was in the middle of the year. He was ill, and I think everybody wanted to thank him for what he has done, for the state and the university, and you did so beautifully.
Thank you.
Well, what we did at Witness, though, was we celebrated one particular line, which was about the right to participate in the arts. And the key word was about participate. And you saw some representations of that up there, but you didn't come here just to listen, you came here to participate. So we're gonna recreate that. Is that okay?
Great, fantastic.
All right, so please, everybody stand up for a moment. I'm gonna teach you something that you're never gonna forget.
They'll be memorable.
It's going to be memorable.
It's going to be great.
So you are about to learn the beginning of one of the great ballet masterpieces ever created, George Balanchine's Serenade. So here you go. So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to raise your right arm as if the sun is shining in your eyes. So on your mirror. So you're like that. Excellent. Beautiful up there. Very good. So it's like the sun is shining. Now you can imagine it this way. We'll tell a story, a narrative, so you'll remember. The sun is shining so brightly that you get a headache. So you slowly bring your hand to your temple. That's it. Okay, a little headache. But something along the way makes you think of being a citizen artist. So you put your hand over your heart kind of proudly to the side. Then you're not just an artist, but you're actually starting to feel like you're maybe a dancing artist. So you lower your hands to what we call first position. Now, don't be frightened. This is slightly technical. I will cue you, and you will do what's called first position with your feet. You'll just go from this to this. Just that. Beautiful. You're almost done. You're going to take your right leg and your arms and just do like I do. You're just going to open slightly. Mind your neighbors. It's very part of teamwork. You're going to close in as close to a fifth position as you can. And you're going to prepare to dance. Beautiful. That's it. That's the beginning of Serenade. Excellent. So, let's review. Sun is in your eyes. You've gotten a slight headache. It takes 8 counts. You're a citizen artist. You're not just an artist, you're a dancer. You're getting a little technical. And you're going to prepare to dance. And you know what? This is a moment that you should just, you're going to listen, you're going to hear Yo-Yo playing, and you're going to be, your heart is just, you don't get to do that much in life. So savor it. It's really good. All right? So why don't we go, we're not done. Now here comes music. All right?
Yeah, hey,
so,
we still have
you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it from the top of the music. So you can imagine that you're backstage and the curtain is down, and I'm going to tell you when it's curtain. And when I say warning on the curtain, hello, Dr. Watson, nice to see you. My goodness. You raise your hand and assume your position. All right? Okay. So please, we're going to go from the top,
okay.
I think.
From
All
the
right?
top.
So imagine yourself backstage. Curtain is down. And this is it's a call to arms. Okay, folks, warning on the curtain. Now you're going to hold this until I tell you. Curtain is rising. Sun is shining. Slowly the hand. Slowly to your hand. Citizen artists. Dancers and first position and prepare to dance. we created some community, actually, which is another thing the arts do like nothing else. It creates community. Whether it's to join together, to listen to music, to make music, to dance together, to, you know, it's as old as time itself, is the idea that we create art together. And there's some incredible people doing community work around the country, and I brought one of them to be a part of our strategy group. Her name is Laura Zabel. She's the director of Springboard for the Arts in St. Paul. She's also an actress. And she has many programs, but there's one that I wanted to share with Yo-Yo because, well, we'll see why. So I want to welcome Laura to come out here for a moment. So you may wonder why Laura is bringing a box, which she will explain to us.
Bring props wherever
you bring
I go.
props, that's right. And you know, Laura, when you first told me about this, I didn't have the benefit like Yo-Yo of actually seeing it. It was just simply imaginary, but this is for you guys a chance to really see it. This is what you call a CSA, right?
Right.
What is
so
that?
You familiar with community-supported agriculture, which is a form where people buy in at the beginning of the summer to a farm, and then they get fresh local vegetables. It's a way to meet your farmer, to know who grows your food, to connect with the people in your community. And so we decided, why couldn't there be community-supported art in that same way? So we built this program, or rather we stole this program from the local food community, and kept it pretty much the same. And it's just a simple way of connecting people in the community, people who aren't normally part of the arts community, who don't go to gallery openings or those types of things, with the local artists who live in their community and their process, and to build those relationships. So it works exactly the same. People buy in at the beginning of the summer. We sell 50 shares. Over the course of the summer, those 50 shareholders get to come to pick up events and meet the artists and pick up their box of fresh local art. So,
And you're a big, I know you like farms and all
I
that.
love that.
You
I
like
love
fresh
slow
vegetables
food and
and
organic
So do you think,
food
you know,
and
you would
fun.
want to purchase a share of
I
art?
would love to. I just love that idea. It is all organic, right?
yes,
Yeah, so-
yes.
I just want to make sure.
Let's just say, so you get like your box, and how does it work? How many pieces of art? And
You get
what-
3 pieces every month for
Oh,
3
wow.
months.
This
So
is
some
like
of them
piece
are functional pieces like that. Yep.
Sorry.
You know, and
It's nice. It's good.
the artists talk a lot about, as they're making them, imagining these 50 people who are going to own their things. This is a great piece of work by an artist who screen printed this fabric based on those little stickers that you get on your bananas and apples. So a lot of the work
Yeah,
is
I
themed.
termed that the kind of anti-big pharma piece. You know, it's like, you know, we're not going to do that.
Right, it's not factory farmed art.
What about this one?
We can
What do we have
belabor this
here?
one before.
That's pretty.
This artist did 50 original pieces. So sometimes you find in your box of gifts an original piece, and then you get to meet the artist and hear about their process.
I like that when you first explained it, you said, you know, just like a CSA for food, sometimes you get okra. And you don't like that, so you give that to your friend. It's not really, you know, yeah, that's pretty cool.
You all look fabulous.
And what goes on after? So they've met some artists. Presumably they get 9 pieces over the summer for $300.
For $300 at home, we started the program in Minnesota, but then we shared the program, and now there's 30 cities across the country that have community-supported art programs. They're all locally grown. They look different. They work with local artists.
They make their own version.
They make their own
But she
version.
provides the toolkit for community-supported art to bring together your local artists who get paid for doing this because it's all virtuous cycle. And you got a bag. Are you
Right.
taking some stuff?
You can sling it over
Pay
your
at the
shoulder.
door. Okay.
Right, all the money that the shareholders pay in goes back to support the artists, so it makes this self-sustaining mini economy. That's a photographer that made this beautiful set of tarot cards.
Oh, wow. This is like matches the new iPhone 5. It's slightly bigger than the usual cards. Beautiful.
So, I mean, I just thought that was the coolest idea. So I wanted to bring Laura here because the arts play a role in many sectors, but I think community is one of them. As you just saw, you guys now are part of a community that dance Serenade together, accompanied by Yo-Yo and Charlie. There's something that's about that's just magic. And you know, the idea of going to pick up your own box of art, which is so cool too. They put logos on. It's like, it's just, you know, it's because that's been a primary. You know, when people think about, you know, arts and society, they often think, oh, of course, artists and education, which has become a real, you know, rallying cry. How do we get the arts back in schools? Well, you know, there's lots of different things we could talk about that for many, many days and weeks and months and ongoing. And Yo-Yo and I are involved in number of initiatives, including the Turnaround Arts program of the President's Committee on Arts and Humanities, which is all about using the arts in the nation's worst performing schools as part of a turnaround strategy. But in general, we think about the arts as being something for teachers to use in their classrooms. You and I, about integration, right?
Yeah.
About clearing memory and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, specifically with the Silk Road program, which we discussed, you use geography, right?
Well, sometimes, and I think one of the things is that, well, in music, it's the neat thing about music, which is also the frustrating thing, is that it's ephemeral. It's about energy that happens and then it kind of goes away. But its usefulness often is that it lodges in, or when it lodges in people's memories, and it also travels lightly. And so through music, you can actually travel without going through the TSA, without having to take a bus to the airport, and without having to
fly.
Yes, and you don't have to pay $25 for a bag. You just use your ears, and as
There's a list. We could keep going.
exactly,
You don't
I
have
could
to
tell
do
you a
it.
lot of things about. So with music, you can actually travel through time. So not everybody, like Mr. Isaacson, can spend hundreds of hours talking to Steve Jobs, but you can actually do something which I'm going to do right now.
Would you?
Would you mind?
Would you?
Okay. Well,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I'd like to play for you like two little things joined together, and what I'd like to play, which is something that triggers my memory. I was talking to Walter about this before, is that many years ago, and children were, and it's a piece that's actually, in many ways, that was created in Santa Fe. It's called Appalachia Waltz, but it actually comes from a tradition from Irish, Scottish, Danish tradition, folk fiddling that came down through Cape Breton, through Appalachia, and then ended up in Texas. And Mark O'Connor wrote this piece. And then I'm going to follow it into a piece of music that it's a tune from Mongolia. And there's some similarity, so I'm just going to do that for now. So if you want, I'll play from here. Is that okay?
That's
David?
perfect. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
going to bring my stool over. And so so you've outlined two geographic regions.
Yeah. So we can travel in our imagination to wherever you want to. So whatever I said to you may or may not come into your mind. You may fall asleep. If you snore, I will look at you. And so here it goes.
that to me is first of all, it's just staggering. It does take you places, right? But it's also a memory trigger. Imagine a child learning about their geography lessons in the 6th grade, and you're studying the Silk Road, and you start to hear that as your memory trigger. And I was going to tell you, I heard a memory expert last week talking about how context actually is what triggers memory. So he said, so imagine, what did you have for dinner last night? And he said, some of you may just go like this, it was this, but most of you will imagine it in the sense of you'll picture it. You'll picture the food, you'll picture where you were, you'll picture the table, you'll picture what's around it, and that's what helps you remember exactly what it is. And I think that that's very relevant in this way.
Absolutely. It not only triggers memory, and I think part of what you hear in music, and let's say what can be attached to learning or knowledge. I'll just say one thing. One of the reasons I played those two works side by side. Do you notice that there was, often I was playing 2 notes at the same time, right? In fact, all the time in both pieces. And that while I was playing in melodic line, there was a drone behind that. So imagine that you have, so the knowledge that you perceive something, there are drones in Celtic music, there are drones in fiddling, there are drones in all over Asia, 2-stringed instrument. This is what it calls people to attention. It is something that wakes people up, whether when you're going to war.
Those 2 notes.
Exactly. And it's like that drone, it just is kind of ritualistic for a certain moment of paying attention.
From PS 161 and Columbia Secondary, who were part of the Silk Road program 2 years ago as 6th graders and performed. And they did for tonight what they did then. They created a poem, which they're going to perform for us. And then they came together with Yo-Yo and Charlie, and we gave it some music. And we did something in collaboration, I guess is what it is. And their challenge was, right? It's a collaboration time. We've got to go. It's been about 15 minutes, so we got to get in collaboration. And the idea really was that it's their voice. So I want to welcome the kids from PS 161 and Columbia Secondary. Come on out, guys. That's Emiliano, and that's Gregory. And so this is your poem, right, guys?
Yeah.
Was it hard to write? Not really. We kind of asked you questions, right? We gave you a little prompts. We said, who are you? What are you thinking? What is hard? What's not hard, right?
Yeah.
And you like to write, huh?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Eileen wrote a beautiful poem for the thing in Central Park called Bilingual Matters, which we ended up being so just moved by. We taught it to other kids in Chicago who also were in a bilingual school, and it really was a touchstone for us. And of course, to be able to collaborate is what we're doing here. So I'm going to get out of the way, but I actually am going to conduct a little bit, because we worked in the school a little bit the last few weeks with you and your teacher Carla Espana, who is a part of the strategy group. She's a fantastic teacher from used to be PS 161. Now she's a literacy coach all around the country, all around the schools in the city. So she helped with this. We want to say thank you to Carla and to Pam Price at PS 161. And this is your piece, and it's called We Are Unique. So I'm going to conduct, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, you guys?
Yeah.
All right.
We are unique.
What makes me unique? My personality. I have a different mind. I think differently.
What makes me unique? My attitude.
What makes me unique? My determination.
What makes me unique? My swag, the way I live my life.
We are unique.
We imagine.
With writing, I imagine being an individual. No limits. I can write whatever I want, whenever I want. I impact the world.
different. I have a double life.
With art, I imagine helping many people. Art can speak in many ways, and it has many colors.
With dancing, I imagine using my body to show feeling. Dancing is something I have in me. It helps me be who I am.
Writing. Acting.
Art.
Dancing.
We are unique.
We imagine.
Do you?
What they had to do was not only write that poem and work on it and structure it and work on timing and, on punctuation, essentially, on when to go. And then once they did all that, then they got together with Yo-Yo, and Yo-Yo said, wait a minute, we're going to put it to Gershwin Prelude No. 1, and here's how it's going to fit. And then we played around with it until it found its own measure.
Yes, and this is about, I think, not only creating, but the kind of 360-degree thinking we're talking about, because it's about feeling each other's energy. So you have two different things. You have words. We had to actually play very differently because Charlie and I had to actually say, wait a minute, this is no longer a piece of music. This is about the poetry, and we actually have to respond to exactly what they give us.
Did you say, are you saying you adapted?
I guess so.
Yes.
Oh,
you were
nice.
creatively
it's
adaptive.
A good teacher. See, this is
Very
something really good.
Yeah.
We're trying to be flexible, and they were so incredibly flexible because it was their poem, and suddenly there's this strange stuff inserted. But guess what? They had to make it their own, and that's the thing. That's again starting from the inside. Ownership, stakeholder.
Their voice.
Their voice.
But adaptive.
Then it can actually get to another
So
place.
we talked earlier a little bit about the idea that we're standing on the shoulders of incredible programs that have been going on for many years. It's an ongoing thing, citizen artistry, and we have an example of one tonight that I wanted to share with you. It's called Dancing Classrooms, which has brought ballroom into the schools, famously seen in Mad Hot Ballroom, and its distinguished founder. Co-founder, director Pierre Delaine is here, and and Yvonne Marceau is over there, the two founders that you know both are here. And their kids they bring ballroom into a classroom, and the way Pierre, I don't want to paraphrase it, we'll ask him in a minute actually, but the idea is how to be. And ballroom dancing says something to you about how to be, how to relate to other people. So we thought we'd do another collaboration for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Youth Dance Company of Ballroom Classrooms, accompanied by Yo-Yo and Charlie. do programs in Jaffa, bringing together Palestinian and Israeli children, and in Belfast. It's a way to bridge the divide. It's, again, a super identity
I love
of how
that documentary. So
yeah.
I'm going to ask you to listen to the lowest note that you hear, because I can't hold the lowest note because I have to kind of get to the melody. So listen to the lowest note at all times and listen to it and fill in the length of the note until the next note comes in. And if you do that, then we can actually achieve the impossible. And then we can wonder about it.
applause.